Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Idiosyncratic Fables, a part of Wilderness Fire Productions, where we are cultivating the passion for books, audiobooks, and storytelling. Since time first began, we all have been storytellers. I mean, everybody's got a story to tell, and I want to hear yours. I'm your host, James, and today we are rolling initiative with a very special guest, author Eric Temke, better known as to the LitRPG community as Always Rolls a One. Eric is the mastermind behind the hit series A Soldier's Life, a gritty, hard-earned military isekai where one man is thrown into the legions of a fantasy empire with nothing but his wits, a mysterious system, and a serious talent for surviving when the dice keep trying to kill him. We're talking Legion life, brutal training, hidden powers, political intrigue, and that perfect blend of LitRPG mechanics with raw human drama that keeps readers hooked. So, grab your dice, sharpen your sword, and settle in, because today we're going behind the pages with one of the fastest rising voices in the genre. Eric, my friend, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. That was a better introduction than I could ever come up with.
I do my due diligence to make sure that you all get the credit that you deserve. So, go ahead and just tell us a bit about yourself and how you ended up as a LitRPG author under the pen name Always Rolls a One.
Okay, that's kind of an interesting story. Back in the day when Twitch first became popular, there was a few people on there that were actually doing live streamed games of D&D, and I was just a commenter. I wasn't a participant, and so my handle on there was Always Rolls a One, and that's where it originated from. And I kind of carried that over to some DMing on Roll20.net, and then from there, when I did post to Royal Road, I think it's probably about 3 years ago now.
Okay.
I used that as my pen name. I just thought it was I thought the people would know instantly what that meant.
Right.
And a lot of my stories do revolve around kind of the bad luck MC. So
I love that. So how would you say your tabletop gaming background influenced your writing?
Yeah, I write a lot of first person narrative. So when I'm doing it, I'm kind of thinking like that solo adventure. I'm the DM, and the MC is the solo adventurer going through my campaign, and I'm kind of pushing him through that campaign as I'm writing the story. I'm trying to get out of the first person narrative and get a little more third person, which is a little bit more popular. So it's kind of a blend, and I was never really a writer. COVID, like a lot of other people, I started kind of writing because you were reading something and the chapters weren't coming out fast enough, so you had to write something yourself to kind of keep yourself entertained during that little period there.
Gotcha. So would you say then that being a DM at heart, and then likewise having experience running these TTRPGs or tabletop role-playing games for the listeners that don't know, would you say they've shaped the way you build worlds, characters, and systems in your book?
Yeah, I mean, I was the DM that was, making all the backstories and the maps and all that fun stuff well beyond where the players were actually going to interact. So it was building the worlds was part of the fun part of being the DM. That's my play. We're talking way back in high school.
Yeah.
We're talking like 25, 30 years ago.
Well, that makes it more immersive and more enjoyable too.
But back then, yeah. So I always like to build out, even if it was never going to be interacted with, just to kind of know personally what was going to happen. And these stories kind of give me that that leeway to kind of introduce elements that you might not ever see if I was DMing one of your games on a tabletop or on Roll20.net. So it has been quite fun. I think the world building is kind of the part of it that I do a little bit better than some of the other things. I'm still working on making the characters more believable. I'm still a very novice writer, and I'm kind of learning as I go.
I get that. That's actually kind of how I started out with my audiobook narration career. Now 8 years ago. Of course, since then it's been loads of coaching and learning what not to do. But the learning as I go, yeah, I'm very familiar. So for the listeners out there that are new to your work, give us the pitch for A Soldier's Life. What makes Eric's story and his journey unique in this lit RPG space?
I thought you had an excellent intro, and you kind of nailed it there. But I think where the popularity of the story kind of came in is it's more of a realistic take on it. It's more about the hard earned step by step progress, kind of like in a tabletop game where you're the leveling increments and the experience is very slowly it hard to come by. A lot of the lit RPGs out there now, the MC is powerful by book 3 or 4, or book sometimes by the end of book 1.
Right.
And this one is kind of like the readers sometimes get a little frustrated with how slow his progress is, but then when he does make that progress, it's all that more gratifying. And I think a lot of people can also put themselves in the shoes of the MC of sometimes the mistakes that he makes that are intentional in the writing, and kind of how he's fine or meandering through this world that he's learning step by step.
Okay. The series itself has light lit RPG elements with a focus on character growth, harsh realism, and even slice of life moments amid brutal Legion life. How did you approach balancing those mechanics with the story and emotional depth?
That's a very intricate question. Um, if so I think what the readers need to understand is this is actually my 15th story that I've written.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a progress in it as me as an author. As I mean, I've have all those stories are up on Royal Road. You can see how rough those were. This bringing the character elements in is really uh, making the character relatable, and having that emotional tie has really come through in the writing as I've gone through 15 stories. And a lot of the mistakes I made in those early stories was it was too numbers heavy, too crunchy. So the more crunchy something was, the further along in a book or series, it got too unwieldy.
Gotcha.
So with the soldier's life, I try to water that down and kind of make it so that it's more in the background. And my other story, other published novel, World Sphere, is kind of the same way. I try to push the crunchy lit RPG elements kind of to the background, but they're always there. And when the readers do get those updates, they can dig in and delve into the numbers a little bit more.
I gotcha. For those that don't know, what do you mean by the word crunchy?
So crunchy is for the mathaholics. They want to see the growth in numbers, and that's one of the big appeals of lit RPG is the quantitative growth that readers can see as the characters go along.
I
So
gotcha.
a crunchy book has a lot of tables, a lot of charts, a lot of blue screens. So the progress is noted each and every single chapter, or every single game that the character makes. Another book that I have that'll be published next year called Town Builder is extremely crunchy with numbers, and it gets very very unwieldy for the authors. And a lot of authors you probably talk to have probably mentioned the same thing. It's kind of tracking everything and making the
Right.
growth sustainable, because as soon as you make that one exponential growth, all of a sudden you're trying to find enemies that are that the caliber is difficult for the MC to overcome.
I gotcha. I gotcha. And so if crunchy is very math focused and stat focused, what would be the opposite of that? Like, is there a term for that as well?
That would probably be straight fantasy.
Straight fantasy? Okay.
Yeah, because I think
Gotcha.
lit RPG is basically is the crunchiness, and how much crunchiness you have is how in depth the lit RPG elements play.
Gotcha. And I don't know why this is coming to mind, but it's all my brain just went to, oh, it's like the difference between creamy and crunchy peanut butter. Got it.
That works too.
Oh, I'm a goober that way. Uh, anyway, let's bring it back to Eric and A Soldier's Life. Before I start talking more about food, Eric gets railroaded into the Legion with nothing and has to survive while hiding and or developing his abilities. What inspired that setup, and how did you handle the not overpowered protagonist who still feels like he's earning every win?
So interesting story. A Soldier's Life was actually sitting on Royal Road with 7 chapters written for about a year, just completely untouched. And the concept was basically kind of that uh, DMGM, however you want to say it,
Sure.
mentality of overseeing a solo campaign of what would happen if someone got thrown into a world where they basically were thrown in the military and had to develop that way. A lot of the books Undying Mercenaries and things like that I kind of drew from uh, for that kind of concept, but it kind of sat there for a year. It was very, very crunchy in those first 7 chapters. And I was writing 4 of the stories at the time, and I was running through kind of mental roadblocks, and I came back to that story. I rewrote the first 7 chapters, and I got a few new readers come in, and all of a sudden it just blew up. And from there, it was kind of taking the feedback from the readers that were on Royal Road and kind of mediating his growth that way, because kind of what they wanted to see and kind of how they felt about it. I mean, the first 15 chapters of Soldier's Life, and this is kind of advice to all authors out there: don't be afraid to rewrite. They've been through so many rewrites those first 15 chapters, and kind of getting into an environment where the MC is doing that slow, gradual development and interaction with important characters.
Gotcha. The series itself, it explores politics, military life, magic discovery, and personal secrets in the Telhian Empire and beyond, such as, Sobral City, the Shimmering Labyrinth, etc. Without major spoilers, what are some of the biggest challenges or arcs you're most proud of?
So as a writer, I don't think I have a lot of pride. I mean, I'm not being humble or anything, but I see. I think I fall short a lot of times, and I'm always going back, and I'm like, I have these grandiose ideas of how the story is going to play out, but then when you're writing it, you're like, you get like 6 or 7 chapters through, and you're like, oh, I missed this point, missed that point. Um, Political intrigue in A Soldier's Life, since it's a first person point of view, is only really seen when I do the alternate POVs. So when you get into the POVs of other characters that where it goes to third person, and actually, this is probably a big secret that I shouldn't say here, but I will. It's a big reveal. All of those POVs are voted on my Patreon. So I give
Ah,
them a list of 5 or 6 possible POVs, and they all play in the background in terms of plot and politics and all those things. And whatever they select, I am kind of not forced to kind of bring into the forefront, but based on their kind of preferences as readers or what they want to see in the background, um, they pick a scenario or a side character, and that character's background obviously gets expanded in that POV, and all of a sudden that part of it is brought in more.
that's really cool. So, little quick caveat here. Listeners, if you're not already on Eric's Patreon, you might want to jump on that now because you just heard firsthand right here that if you want a little persuasive influence in his books, sign up for his Patreon. Dude, that's awesome. I like that. Now, when it comes to writing itself, you write quite quickly and have multiple books out in a relatively short time. Go ahead and walk us through that process. Like, what's your daily, weekly routine, and how do you stay prolific while maintaining quality?
I'm not as prolific as some of the others out there. I'm only doing about 15,000 words a week, which means I'm doing about one book every 3 to 4 months. which I don't think is really that fast comparative to some others. But my writing process is I'm trying to write 5 days a week, about 2,500 words a day, which takes me about 6 to 8 hours, depending on which story. Soldier's Life is a little quicker to write than like a World Sphere or a Town Builder series or a Gladiator's Life. Um, and then the other 2 days of the week, I'm editing. So I'm working 7 days a week, trying to do this full time. And the quality on the first drafts usually is not really there. I do get a lot of feedback from the supporters on Patreon. They help me with corrections and plot things that I missed to fill in. So when it does get to the book format, I do have to thank them a lot for the work that they do and being so diligent and making sure that the characters that they love are doing what they want them to do.
Sure.
And not forgetting what's in Eric's space and what other side characters are involved in which part of the arcs. So that's kind of my process. So 5 days a week of writing and 2 days a week of editing.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, I think because I'm tiptoeing into the waters of being a writer as well. I'm lucky if I can get 700 words a week right now. So my hat's off to you, Eric. That's awesome.
Yeah,
For Go
my,
ahead.
my advice for you there is just write 2,000 words no matter what comes out, and then go back and edit it.
Understood. Even if it's just like gibberish and slop.
Exactly. You should see some of the gibberish I've written. So.
Fair enough. Fair enough. For most, if not all, lit RPG authors, they often get feedback on their stats, blue boxes, and progression pacing. What would you say you've learned from reader feedback, and how has your approach evolved due to that feedback, specifically with A Soldier's Life?
Yeah, so I mentioned, this is probably the 15th or 16th story that I've written, and the crunchiness was very heavy in the first 14 stories that I wrote because I wanted to be part of the lit RPG genre and have that D&D stat tracking that went along. But my systems were always super complicated. Even A Soldier's Life is super complicated. If you look at it, there are, how many physical stats do we have here? Geez, give me 1 second. So there are 2, 4, 6. There's 7 physical stats, 7 mental stats, and 5 magical stats. I mean, that's a lot for a tabletop role playing game. Um,
Oh, yeah.
and what it allowed me to do is to keep his growth controlled, because there's so many stats that it takes, an essence to raise it up even just a little bit. So it gave me that slow growth control. And what I've done is I've only revealed the stats usually once or twice a book. So you're not going to see those tables and charts, 10 times in a book. And that
Gotcha.
kind of gives the readers a chance to focus more on the story than the stat growth. But they know, like, when he does get an essence, they know that it is going to increase his power. So they do know that that is happening in the background.
Okay. Now, with your stories, you also include mature content and graphic elements. How do you decide what to include, and what's your philosophy on handling sensitive or even adult themes in progressive fantasy?
Yeah, as far as a target age group, I never really had one. A lot of the stuff when I started to write was kind of a mix of, adult themes and blood and gore. And then I got away from the adult themes a lot more and went into more to kind of just the fighting and the gore, that side of the gore. And the readers tend to like that because I'm not a romantasy author by any stretch of the imagination. Every time I try to do that, there is a revolt. There is a love story going on in the background of Soldier's Life through the books, but it is kind of in the background. But romantasy is not my shtick, so I try to keep away from it as much as I can.
Sure.
And it's always going to be a fade to black, but the blood and gore is kind of what people want to hear. I try to keep it as realistic as possible. When the blood dries, it's all gooey and tacky, and then
Oh, yeah.
flakes when it gets to a certain point. So, and I think some people can relate to that because maybe they kind of realize, oh, that's what I think should happen. Where a lot of other authors might just be, oh, he got bloody, and that's all they say.
Yeah. Yeah, you actually answered an improv question I had is like, so moving away from the adult stuff, is it now more Fade to Black? And you just mentioned that. So that's awesome. You also have the World Sphere series. How would you say that one differs in tone, mechanics, or theme from A Soldier's Life?
So a soldier's life is kind of the MC earning everything he gets. A world sphere is the OP MC from kind of like day one.
I
Um,
gotcha.
so he basically has all the abilities. He gets basically he goes into a reincarnation room, and the guy skips out on him, so he gets to choose all of his abilities in his reincarnation. And he picks some weird ones when you look at it when you first start. But then as the books develop, by book three, you're like, oh my god, he chose like the perfect set, obviously, because we're writing about this character. So the character in that book is named Storm. And World Sphere is a great fantasy setting in terms of world building, because I don't know, a lot of readers know what a Dyson sphere is, but it's basically a sphere that is the size of the orbit of the sun, and inside that sphere is a pretty much infinite landmass. So that's the environment that he's working in terms of
Whoa.
a magical world. So it's just intensely vast. So and his growth is pretty fast. Four, by book four, he's pretty OP in his region of the sphere. So the OPMC versus earned growth, I guess, is the biggest difference between those two series.
Okay. So now, when it came to wanting to write, aside from being a DM for TTRPGs, what other lit RPG books or even progression fantasy books out there, or even authors, would you say influenced you the most?
I was a big reader first on web novel, so kind of the mix of the Chinese and Japanese kind of manga that was on there for progression. Then I found Royal Road, um, and I fell in love with those. And during the pandemic, obviously we ran out of chapters because everyone had plenty of time to read, and that's when I started writing. Um, so that's my biggest kind of influence, and from that I learned the best way to keep an audience was to have a little tiny cliff, or sometimes a big cliff, at the end of every chapter.
Okay.
So that's pretty much the only writing style that I've ever kind of developed, was kind of based off that, was to make sure that as the chapter progresses, something has to happen concrete in the chapter, and then at the end of the chapter there has to be some type of catch for the reader to want to go to that next chapter.
I love that. Now, you're also very active on Patreon, like you've mentioned, and Royal Road has come up several times, as well as Scribble Hub. And you even attend events like LitRPG Con, which, quick plug to that, coming up in Denver this year, 2026. Woohoo! What's the reader community like for your work? And how important has direct fan interaction been to your journey as an indie author?
Uh, it's why I'm still writing. Really, the fans have kind of not only that they made it a feasible career path for me, but also there's a lot of positive feedback on Patreon, a lot of constructive feedback. Raw Road is kind of a mix. Any authors that go there, you got to understand there's going to be a mix, positive and negative.
Sure.
But it's as far as interacting with them, if you're on my Patreon and you pose a question to me, 95% of the time I will respond to that question and try to answer it for you.
Awesome.
Because people, if people don't know how the Patreon works, every time you post a comment on Patreon, it goes to the our email, so we see what that question is. I can see it in the email, click view comment, and reply to it right away. And they do have a heavy influence. Like I said, they do choose the POVs for my books, and that does direct the story, well, the background of the story direction. The MC's path is kind of laid out already, but they do kind of have a heavy influence on the background.
Okay. Now, are you going to Lit RPG Con this year?
I am actually one of the sponsors at LitRPG Con this year. I'm sponsoring the
Sweet.
author signing room. So I've invited all the panelists and guests to put up posters and decorate that room. So I will be there. You'll see some posters for Soldier's Life around the halls. As a sponsor, I get some of those. I'll be doing a signing. I'll be giving away 100 books while I'm there. So if you come to my signing, I'm one of the first 100 people in line. I'll get you a book.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, I'll be there. Which, funnily enough, the first day of the con, the 10th, just so happens to be mine and my wife's anniversary. So both of us will be in attendance this for that weekend. So now I'm curious, what's next for you? Like, do you have any teases for upcoming books, new series, or big plans for us?
Yeah, I can kind of go through what's going on in the background. A lot of people on Patreon kind of already know this. Book 6 of A Soldier's Life is coming out in July. Going to try to time it so the audiobook comes out as well just before the con.
Awesome.
Book 10 of A Soldier's Life is almost finished on Patreon. It's about 3/4 of the way written. Book 11 should be done by the end of the year, and that's the last book in the series. There will be a time skip and then a new series titled A Mage's Life. I know a lot of originality there. We'll start up with the same MC on a new series. Other series that I have, World Sphere Book 3 is coming out in December. A Gladiator's Life, which is in the same world as A Soldier's Life, should be coming out early next year. That book's half written. It follows a different MC. It's about 40 years before the MC of A Soldier's Life got to the world of Desia. And then Town Builder, which has 2 books written. Book 1 of that should come out probably about in January, just as an ebook. So those are kind of the big projects that I'm working on. There's some smaller stuff too that's going on, but as a one-man show, kind of editing and writing all by myself.
Yeah.
There's only so much one person can do, but I did manage to build up a backlog, and I do have, like I said, 15 other stories that I've written partially before Soldier's Life that I can always go back to and develop into books as well.
Sweet. All right. Final question for you before we get into the rapid fire questions, if you will. For aspiring authors that are currently listening into this episode, especially those coming from gaming or even tabletop role-playing backgrounds, what advice would you give them about breaking into LitRPG and building a sustainable writing career?
I'm probably not the best person to ask on that aspect. I think I've been more lucky than anything else that I had a story that was a really good hook. I do second guess a lot of things that I do, and I think that self-doubt as an author is something you have to get past and just kind of push through at a certain point. Like said, I did write 15 stories first before I had a success, and you need to understand that. The mental burnout as an author, especially authors, indie authors like me that are working at 7 days a week, you just got to be aware of it and know when to pull back a little bit, because it can put a lot of stress on personal relationships and your own personal health as well. So advice wise is write as many words as you can and then go back and edit. Royal Road is a good starter if you can get a few readers to get some feedback for your editing process. Like I said, A Soldier's Life, first 15 chapters, re-edited a lot before it kind of fell into something that was really palatable for a larger audience.
Gotcha.
And if you want to feel good about yourself, go to Royal Road, read some of my old stories, and see how bad they were, and that will tell you where you can get to, and be like, oh, this is what we wrote back then. Wow, I can write better than that, and that will make you feel real good about yourself.
Actually reminds me of a video I came across on YouTube about an author who said something very similar, that they wrote, or they started out writing, with similar aspirations in mind, but it wasn't until their 14th book that they started to gain traction and figure out their writing process, their flow, and also that started to gain noticeability as well. So it was very reassuring to hear that from that author, and also to hear a similar telling from you as well, Eric. All right. Let's change gears a little bit and bring us some fun questions. What would you say is the funniest or most disastrous roll to one moment you've ever had, either in real life gaming or while writing?
Rolled. I think with being an author and writing at home, I've had instances where I am writing and I don't back up a chapter, and I might lose 4 or 5 hours of work when a word crashes on me. I'm sitting here trying to going through and trying to figure out how to recover this document that's supposed to have a catch backup somewhere on my Mac, and it's not there. Um, a lot of that happens when I'm editing a large book on my Mac, and then I'll have like Grammarly running in the background, and the catch fills up, and the word just crashes, and everything's gone. Like
Oh no.
just hours of work. Yeah, so that's happened to me actually
Ooh.
3 times in probably the past 6 months. So now I've gone to a hard backup, iDrive or whatever it is for the Mac.
Sure.
So that's my always rolls in one moment.
Oof. Oof. Oh, that makes me cringe if I were in the. Oh, I could just imagine the headache. So
Well,
go ahead.
yeah, well, at least I just wrote it over the last few hours, so you can at least regurgitate,
Yeah.
what you wrote, but it's not as perfect as it was the first time you wrote it, right?
Right, right. Oh man. So your character, Eric, from the Soldier series, if he were dropped into a modern day setting, how badly do you think he'd do?
Can you elaborate? Because he is from Earth, so
Okay. Let's say so aside from the fantasy mechanics, you know what? Let's make him an accountant tailored to Wall Street. How badly do you think he'd do?
in Wall Street or in the fantasy world. I'm
Like if you were to take the character Eric, remove him from the fantasy world
Yep.
and put him in, modern day downtown Wall Street right now.
Oh, I don't think he'd do very well at all. I think if he doesn't have somebody on his back to force him, especially like in that early part of the series, he he needed that whip behind him to kind of push him. Although I mean, it was all about survival for him. His chosen path. Maybe he regretted it a lot in those early chapters.
Mhm.
But if you're asking him to be kind of self motivated, I don't think that would be there.
Fair enough. All right. Now the rapid fire questions. Ready? What is your
What?
favorite class or race to play as a DM?
Goliath.
Okay. Favorite magic system you've created?
World Sphere.
And last but not least, favorite tabletop role playing game you've ever played?
Traveler.
Traveler. I'm not familiar with that one. What is that one?
It is a sci-fi. They're actually doing a Kickstarter to bring it into 5e. So
Oh, okay. I'm gonna have to check that one out. Thank you for that. Because the only sci-fi ones I'm aware of are Starfinder and then Shadowrun and then Rifts, which I've played all of those and they're fantastic. Oh, good golly. What an incredible deep dive into the legions, the system, and the grind of a soldier's life. Eric, thank you so much for being a part of the show today. I really, really appreciate your time, sir.
no, thank you. This is great.
I mean, just your insights into world building, military life, and lit RPG, and staying prolific, dude, pure gold. For everyone listening, please go check out A Soldier's Life right now. I'll even be okay if you pause the episode and the World Sphere series as well. They're available on Amazon, Royal Road, and Patreon, where you can get early chapters and support Eric directly. But to each and every one of you, dear listener, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate each and every one of you. If you enjoyed this episode, I ask that you please rate it, review it, subscribe to the channel wherever you're getting the podcast, because it would help me reach more storytellers. Excuse me. Because it would help me reach more storytellers just like you. Drop me a line on social media or even email me directly about who you would love to hear next. Or even better, if you would like to be a guest on the show. Also, I host a Discord server where I showcase my behind-the-scenes work of audiobook narration. So just click on the link in the show notes, and that link will take you directly to my server, and I would love for you to be a part of that community. And as always, dear listener, everybody has a story to tell, and I want to hear yours. So until I talk to you next time, peace be with you.